I do not condone cheating, but I do encourage to use your resources. Now, when you're facing a problem outside of school, you aren't limited by the tools that you can use in order to solve that problem. And if you can make effective solutions for that problem, then you're going to be paid and treated accordingly. Now, let me ask you something. If there was a free tool available to you in order to find those effective solutions 10 times faster, what would you do? Would you ban it from your company if you were CEO? Or would you ban it from your classroom or maybe even your entire school? Of course not. It's common sense. The more work you can get done in a shorter amount of time, the more work that you can actually learn and retain. But what if I told you actually a majority of people do not feel this way? You know, schools are banning ChatGPT all across the country and all over the world. It's almost as if they want people to continue spending countless hours on assignments that they're going to forget next month anyway. Regardless of the circumstances, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT as a student, how to learn new information and actually retain that information with ChatGPT, how to complete assignments, and so on. This video is going to contain so many helpful tips for students when it comes to using ChatGPT. I'm not only going to teach you how to complete your assignments, but how to retain that information. Now I'm going to get into debunking some of the common objections to ChatGPT in the classroom, so let's get started. The objection number one, this one always makes me laugh a little bit. I want to use my brain, not some website. Well, using your brain would actually be using the tools that you have available to you at all times. If you can get something done faster than you could before with the use of a free tool, then using your brain would take for you to actually open up the website and use a tool that can save you hours on end. Imagine where we would be if mathematicians rejected the calculator because they wanted to use their brain instead. The calculator costs money, ChatGPT is free. People use things like YouTube in order to learn stuff all the time, Google, but ChatGPT, we can't do that because we got to use our brain. I think the verbiage needs to change a little bit. You are using your resources that you have completely available to you. The next one, you can't retain/learn information. That's because you aren't using ChatGPT in the right way. You can retain information much better in ChatGPT than you actually could do on your own. Using some of these simple tricks that I'm going to showcase in this video, these things have helped me retain tons of information. I think I'm smarter than I've ever been since the release of ChatGPT. I can ask it anything. It gives me my information in any structure I want. And there's a lot of simple tricks that I've used that I previously didn't use because I didn't have ChatGPT that have helped me learn so many more subjects, topics, history, science, you name it. I'm becoming much smarter because of ChatGPT and I'm retaining more information. So you need to learn how to use ChatGPT in the right way before we can start saying that it can't help you retain and learn any information, because that's just completely false. The next one we have here is ChatGPT encourages cheating and plagiarism. And my response to that is ChatGPT can be used responsibly. It helps students generate ideas, and students can do the work of structuring and expressing those ideas in their own words. ChatGPT gives you a very, very good foundation, whether you're working on a project, an essay, a homework assignment, and then it's your job to actually take all that information and put it in your own words. I've been using ChatGPT for about 9 months, and I've put my content into a plagiarism checker multiple times. I've seen zero signs of any plagiarism. So I do think it's important to actually check your work for plagiarism and to use ChatGPT as a resource to help guide you in your work and not to completely just copy and paste over unless you're running out of time, but to actually use it in order to build up those foundations, generate those unique new ideas in order to get the creative side of your mind flowing a little bit better and in order to help on things you don't understand. ChatGPT is like having an unlimited tutor who you can ask questions to all the time, and it won't get mad at you. It doesn't have to give up in 2 hours and go somewhere else. It's there for you whenever you have a question, and you can keep on asking as many follow-up questions as you'd like until you're satisfied and you have the information that you need. That's why ChatGPT is so powerful for students and people in the classroom. The next one, ChatGPT reduces the need for students to learn. And it actually doesn't reduce the need for students to learn, in my opinion, but what it does is it actually enhances human intelligence and it completely enhances the learning experience. ChatGPT is not a replacement for learning. It provides information and perspective that can supplement a student's core knowledge. Students still need to comprehend, connect, and apply the concepts themselves. And as I said, ChatGPT is a tool to enhance human intelligence. Now I'm just going to get into some disclaimers real quick before I start the video so you can kind of understand some of the limitations and things I would be looking out for if I were still a student and I was using ChatGPT in school. Number one, just double check your information on Google or YouTube or something like that in order to make sure that it's correct. Disclaimer number two is to always check for plagiarism when generating new content in ChatGPT. There are tons of free tools that allow you to do this out there. Every time I need something checked, I just Google free plagiarism checker and it comes up with one all the time. I can paste in my content, review it, if there's any plagiarism, which 95% of the time, I haven't found any plagiarism within any of my ChatGPT responses, but I still make it a point to check so I'm not stealing other people's work. Disclaimer number 3, ChatGPT may have potential biases since it was trained on human data, so it's important to look out for those ethical dilemmas. As you're prompting in ChatGPT, the information could be biased in some way, shape, or form. Again, since it's been trained on all of human data, humans have biases, so ChatGPT is bound to have some as well. So just be on the lookout for that. Disclaimer number 4 is ChatGPT has limited knowledge up to September of 2021. So if you want up-to-date knowledge, maybe go to another tool like Claude or something like that. And disclaimer number 5 is to just respect your professors or your teachers with their wishes and always remain respectful. Use ChatGPT in the background in order to help increase your workflow. Now, let's get into using ChatGPT for students. So here we are in ChatGPT. It's a very, very simple dashboard. You can go to chat.openai.com. You can actually create an account for free. It takes about 3 minutes. And then you'll have access to this little prompt box where you can type in questions, statements, and ChatGPT will respond to you as if it were talking to another human. So it's a very human-like chatbot. You can have conversations with it, you can ask it questions, and it feels like a very smart friend with you at all times. So let's get started. Let's actually dive into using ChatGPT for some homework questions. Maybe you have a homework assignment that you need to do, and you need to answer some questions. Well, let's start off with something very simple. You can ask ChatGPT something as simple as, what is photosynthesis? And then you can do that and send it off. And ChatGPT, in a matter of seconds, as you can see, I am still talking to you, and this is all live. It's going to explain what is photosynthesis. Just like that, we have a simplified overview of the photosynthesis process, and it breaks it down into 7 steps. There's not pages and pages in a textbook that you need to flip through and kind of guess, what is this? How does it work? ChatGPT laid it out for us in about 7-8 seconds. And the beautiful thing about ChatGPT is that you have these chat threads, and all of your chat threads are stored over in your sidebar. And as you can see, I have one right here for what is photosynthesis right now. I can close that sidebar, but now I can continue to ask ChatGPT questions within this chat thread in order to go more in depth. So let's say I don't know what chlorophyll is. What I could do is I could copy this, and I could ask ChatGPT, what is chlorophyll? I can send it off, and ChatGPT will go in depth on explaining certain things from the knowledge that it generated up here. And you can have this step-by-step conversation with ChatGPT as it's giving you more information. So as you can see, I asked it, what is chlorophyll? Then it gives this nice little conclusion where it says it's not only responsible for the green color of the plants, but also critical for their ability to capture and convert sunlight into chemical energy. So it's giving these very nice key pointers laid out in a couple of paragraphs, so we don't have to flip through the pages, as I was saying. Now, let's say I'm done with photosynthesis and I want to start a new chat thread on a new homework assignment. What I can do is I can go up here and hit new chat in the upper left-hand corner. And if you don't see your sidebar, you may just have to hit open sidebar. Now I can hit new chat. I can close my sidebar if I want to. And now I can ask it a new question for a new assignment. ChatGPT is great when it comes to comparing and contrasting things. So if you have 2 people, 2 governments, certain things you need to compare and contrast, you can ask ChatGPT to compare and contrast those. And it just does a very good job at showing how things are different, how different systems work, and so on. So what I did is I typed in this question here. Can you compare and contrast the economic policies of Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson? So what we can do is we can send it off, and I'm just going to stay on live just so you can see how quick and powerful ChatGPT is and how quick it can actually get things done. So first, it starts as Theodore Roosevelt, and it goes through how his economic policy was. It goes to Woodrow Wilson, shows how his economic policy was. This is comparing the two. It goes through their policies, and then it has a section down here for contrasting them. So it gives us 4 topics that it's contrasting Roosevelt's versus Wilson's economic policies. Now let's say when we're contrasting down here in ChatGPT, there's not enough information down here. Maybe we needed 6 talking points in our homework assignment in order to contrast these 2 economic policies on. What I could do is I could ask ChatGPT to add 2 more topics to contrast between these 2 economic policies, and it will add it to the 4 existing. So as you can see, I can say something like, add 2 more items to contrast between the economic policies. Now I can send it off, and ChatGPT will add all of those contrasting elements, and it's going to go even more in depth. That's what I always love about it. So as you can see, we had trusts and monopolies, tariffs, banking and finance, and labor relations. And now when we scroll down, it's added foreign trade policies and approach to government regulation. Let's say on the homework assignment, we needed this formatted in a certain way. We needed all of this contrast information in a big numbered list. Well, we can tell ChatGPT to combine these two elements. That way we can have it in the proper format. So I could ask ChatGPT something like this while staying in the same chat thread. Format the 6 contrast items into a numbered list with 2-sentence descriptions for each one. So you can get as specific as you want. Maybe you want that information condensed down a little bit. I'm going to send that off. And now ChatGPT will condense it in a number list. And as you can see, ChatGPT is asking me which response do I prefer. Now this is just in order to make ChatGPT a little bit better, kind of understanding what the people want when they ask a question like this. So you can read through these if it gives you this prompt right here, which one do you prefer, and then select the one that you prefer. I'm going to select response number 1. And now as you can see, it's laid out in a nice format, all of the 6 contrasting points with each president in their economic policy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new chat thread, and now I'm going to show you how ChatGPT can actually provide good symbolism and how you can ask it questions about symbolism. If you're studying English, symbolism comes up a lot when you're reading certain literature. So ChatGPT is great at finding those symbols in books or any passages and relating it to pretty much anything you want. So I have this question here, analyze the use of symbolism in The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I can send it off and ChatGPT will list pretty much all of the symbols in this piece of literature. As you can see, we have the green light here, Valley of Ashes, the eyes, Gatsby's mansion, the color symbolism, a lot of color symbolism in The Great Gatsby. And it gives us this so quick, guys. We have all the symbolism here from start to finish in that book. Now let's say you have a homework assignment where you need to read an article and it's kind of up-to-date information, or it's not up-to-date information. Whatever the case may be, you have an article and you need to answer some questions. Well, what I would do if I were in your position is I would do this. Let's say you have these 10 questions you need to answer based on this article here. Let's say your teacher tells you to read this article on inflation, and then they want you to answer these questions that go with this article. What you could do is you could just copy this entire article here. I'm going to copy this article here on imf.org, and I'm going to hit Control-C, or you can hit the copy button by right-clicking it. Then after I have it copied, I'm going to head over to ChatGPT. And now I can tell ChatGPT my problem. I can say, I need help answering questions on inflation based on this article. And then I can put a colon, enter down by holding Shift, and then hitting Control-V, or just copying in your article to the ChatGPT text box here. And now that I have this entire article on inflation posted in here on the ChatGPT input box, and I have my statement here by telling ChatGPT I need help answering some questions on inflation based on this article, what I can do is I can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then I can hold Shift and enter down a few times. I can say, here are my questions I need help with. Colon, hit enter, and then I can copy and paste in my questions to ChatGPT, like shown. And now ChatGPT is going to read the article and answer the questions. Now I can send it off. And wow, in about 20 seconds, ChatGPT just completed all of those questions for me. Now, as you can see, we have a question and we have an answer, and we can keep going down the list using ChatGPT in order to answer these questions for us. And if you want to make your answers feel less like they're generated by AI, well, then what you can do is you can copy them and head over to a website like this, plagiarism-remover.com, and then humanize AI text up there. And you can actually paste in your text in order to make it sound a little bit more human. I'm going to verify that I'm a human right now, and then hit convert. Then it says your content is being processed. And as you can see, it gives us a more human-like response, which we can then use instead of this AI-sounding answer. And just like that, our AI response is turned to be more humanized. Now I'm going to dive into retaining and learning the information that you're using within your homework assignments after putting it through ChatGPT. Because it's great that we're getting these answers fast, but we have to retain and learn this, because if somebody were to come up and ask us a question about these tomorrow, would we understand it? Would we know what we're talking about? Probably not, and that's the goal. And although it seems like a lot of work, ChatGPT can help you do that by using a couple of things that I've picked up on. So again, ChatGPT is wonderful if you're in a pinch and need some quick answers, but it's very important to actually retain this information that you're getting in order to completely use ChatGPT to its full potential. It's great at answering questions quick, but it's also great at helping you retain better than ever. So let's take this inflation example. As you can see, we just generated those 5 answers to the questions for this homework assignment here based on this article. Inflation, prices rise. And what we want to do is we actually want to retain these answers into our head. So there is a couple of things that we can do. We can ask ChatGPT to first just give us some tips on how to retain this information. That's a good start. You can tell ChatGPT to give you tips in order to retain this information. So it's going to give me all sorts of tips, from breaking it down all the way to staying healthy and getting adequate sleep. But it gave us these 18 tips in order to help retain this information. So that's a good start. You can see if any of these catch your eye, and then you can start to apply these to this information that you now have all in this nice chat thread for you. You don't have to flip through pages. You don't have to look through PDFs, links, all of that stuff. You have all the right answers here. Now it's time to pick one of these techniques and to use it in order to retain that information. Another hack that I really like to use in ChatGPT in order for my brain to work well is telling ChatGPT to explain a certain topic to me like I am a child. So if you remembered earlier, we copied and pasted that entire article into ChatGPT in order for ChatGPT to read it and answer those homework questions. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this entire article again for the sake of example. I'm not going to copy in my questions, but now that I have the article, I'm going to hit Control-C, new chat, and then I'm going to paste it into the input box. Now I can scroll all the way up. And this is something that's helped me so much when ChatGPT explains something to you like a child. Now, this isn't necessarily a good way to understand the nitty-gritty details of a subject, but the overall image and structure and message of a subject or a topic that it's trying to get across. So what I like to say is summarize this article to me like I am 5 years old. And now ChatGPT is going to try to explain this complex inflation topic to me as if I am 5 years old, and it's going to do a very good job at doing so. And this always helps me, for some reason, retain the information much better. So I'm going to send that off. And now this long article on inflation, ChatGPT is going to summarize it and break it down to me like I am 5. As you can see, this first paragraph, it says, inflation is like when the prices of things you want to buy go up. Imagine if your favorite toy used to cost $10, but now it costs $11. That's a little bit of inflation. It happens because sometimes things get more expensive over time. And it keeps on going and talking as if it were trying its best to explain this to a 5-year-old, which is a very difficult task. But that's what makes it so great, is it breaks it down so much that your mind can easily grasp all of this information in a short amount of paragraph and text. Another thing I do in order to help me learn or retain information is to tell ChatGPT to give me songs or lyrics on a certain subject that I'm trying to understand. Let's say I need to learn the 27 amendments to the Constitution of the United States. What I could do is I could ask ChatGPT to actually make me a song about those amendments. And learning in songs is a great way to learn because we can memorize, we can sing songs all day long. So why not just create songs about the information we need to learn in order to help us memorize what it does and how it fits into certain things in a lyrical tone? So I've asked ChatGPT to create me a song to remember the 27 amendments. I want these lyrics to somewhat rhyme and to make sense to give a general idea of what each amendment does. So now ChatGPT will create a song for me after sending this off. And as you can see, I guess we don't really need the verse 1 or the chorus, but what we can do is we can start with verse 2. Number 1's the freedom of speech we claim. We can speak our minds without fear and shame. Religion, press, assembly are all free. The First Amendment guards our liberty. The Second Amendment, with a well-armed aim, protects our right to bear arms, defend our name. A well-regulated militia, they say, ensures our freedoms come what may. So, as you can see, it does a very good job at actually breaking down each amendment into a song lyric, and you can do this on many more topics, not just amendments, but this is something that I always like doing, is if I'm struggling to remember something, let's create a song about it now in ChatGPT in order to better retain that information. Because it's fun. You can go in here, you can learn a song during your test. You can sing the song that you learned in ChatGPT in your head, Hopefully you don't forget any of your verses or the chorus, but this is a great way to learn and retain information. It's honestly one of my favorite ways. One of the last ways I really like to learn and retain information in ChatGPT is to ask it to give me analogies for that information. When you have an analogy, you can connect it to something else that makes it make much more sense and sometimes helps people understand in kind of a visual way, if you would. I know you're not physically looking at something, but you can kind of picture it in your mind, how does this connect to this in a different form of life? So let me show you a quick example. So I can always start off my prompt with saying something like, give me an analogy that helps me better understand, and then whatever my topic is. So in this case, I put the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Give me an analogy that helps me better understand that. And ChatGPT will do a great job at doing so. And if you don't like the first analogy, you can ask it to give you 10 more, give you 20 more. I'm going to send off this message. And as you can see, it does a very good job at connecting the mitochondria to a city and power plants. It says, think of the cell as a bustling city and the mitochondria as its power plants. In a city, power plants generate electricity to fuel all the buildings and infrastructure, allowing the city to function effectively. And then it says, with a cell, mitochondria are like tiny power plants that produce energy in the form of a molecule called ATP. And then it goes further into this analogy, saying how a city needs constant and reliable source of energy. A cell also needs a steady supply of ATP to carry out various functions, including muscle contraction, cell division, and maintaining essential processes. And then it says, without the mitochondria, the cell would be like a city in a blackout, unable to function properly due to lack of energy. So in essence, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, ensuring it has enough energy it needs in order to thrive and perform its functions. So now, anytime the mitochondria comes up, I can think about the power plants in the city. You know, if the power plants go out, the city goes in a blackout. Similarly, if the ATP in our body isn't producing properly from that mitochondria, then we're not going to be able to perform. We're going to have fatigue, lack of muscle function, etc. Even before I started this video, I really didn't understand that much about the mitochondria. And now, anytime I hear mitochondria, I'm probably going to think of this power plant analogy. It's going to help me remember, how does it work? You know, what is the general function of this thing? You can do this with pretty much any topic you want in ChatGPT, and that's what makes it so powerful in learning and retaining knowledge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an essay with ChatGPT from start to finish, all the way from brainstorming my idea to citing my information. So essays require a lot. They require a topic selection, and it has to kind of be unique if you want a good grade. It requires research, writing the essay, structuring the essay, citing the essay, and so on. So I'm going to show you how to do a few of those things. And along the way, I hope you gain some ideas of what else you can use ChatGPT for. So first, I have this prompt right here. What are some compelling essay topics related to environmental conservation? So maybe the general thing that we are doing our essay on, we know we want it to be on environmental conservation. And we can just first ask, what are some compelling essay topics related to that general subject we want the essay to be on, or the general subject the essay has to be on? I'm going to send this off, and ChatGPT is going to help us brainstorm some topics related to this environmental conservation. And as you can see, it's just going on and on. It gave us 20 topics very quickly. And along the way, it's giving us tips. When choosing a topic, consider your personal interests and a specific angle you want to explore within the broader field of environmental conservation. This will help you create a more engaging and impactful essay. So it's giving us these tips along the way. It does this for other questions too, not just brainstorming. Maybe we choose the subject urban conservation and sustainable cities. And it gives us a little description here, which is kind of nice. So we can examine how cities incorporate green infrastructure and sustainable practices to protect and enhance local environments. We now have our subject of the essay, and that sometimes is the hardest part. And ChatGPT just gave us 20 in a matter of 10 seconds, and I can ask it to give me 20 more, and it will. It's going to give me 20 more environmental conservation topics that I could do this on. And a lot of the time, that's really the main problem with starting your essay, is finding what do you want your topic to be on. It has to be something good, it has to be something kind of unique and a little bit personal. So you can keep asking ChatGPT to give you ideas. It's really good at helping you brainstorm, whether it's for a project or an essay. So now that I have my subject here, urban conservation and sustainable cities, I can go a little bit further into the research of that subject. So I can tell ChatGPT my goal. I want to write an essay on, and then since I already pasted in my urban conservation sustainable cities, I can leave it there. Now I can put a period. And then I can hold shift and enter down twice. So now ChatGPT has a little bit of context into what we're doing. What do we want? Well, we want to write an essay. What do we want the essay on? Urban conservation and sustainable cities. And then I can write something like this. First, I need help researching and finding relevant information that would be useful for this topic. Can you help me and provide links to articles or resources that may help? So right now, we're not telling ChatGPT to generate all of this essay for us. We want to dive a little bit deeper so that we can understand the topic ourselves, and we want the ability to get links so that we can cite our information when actually drafting this essay with ChatGPT. So now we can send off this message. So as you can see, when I do send this off, it says certainly urban conservation, sustainable cities are an important topic. And then it dives into some key points that I could use for researching in my article. And not only that, but it provides me nice links, and this is completely using the free version of ChatGPT, no plugins, no extensions. It's going to provide these links for us, so we can click on these links and go to these websites in order to find articles and read a little bit more about the urban conservation. And these are kind of just bringing us to the general website. It's not giving us any specific articles. Now that we have all of the study sets in here that we need to actually go in and research a little bit, then we can have ChatGPT write an essay based on all of these topics here. Here's where the fun part comes in. ChatGPT can draft your essay for you, and then you can later go in, make revisions, make it personalized, humanize it a little bit, and then it will be ready to go. So as you can see, I'm still in the same chat thread where ChatGPT is helping me get these 10 key points to study and research a little bit for this topic. And then I have a prompt down here that says, help me write a rough draft for a 5-paragraph essay based on this topic in these key points. So now I can send that off, and ChatGPT is going to write a rough draft, an entire essay for me that I can use. Now, after going through all of your resources and information from these websites that it gave you and all of these links and topics, what you can do, you can go through there, find your citations, and actually put in certain elements from those articles that you read. So just go through, make your projects, make your work a little bit more humanized. You can put it through that website I showed you, add some quotes of your own, change things around, read through it, really study it, and make sure that it's something you like and it's something that you would write. And it's just amazing that ChatGPT can give you this foundation for a great essay or a great project. When it comes to using ChatGPT for students, I could be sitting here for hours showing you different techniques to use and ways to help retain your information and learn new information quicker. But for now, I think this is a good starting point, especially if you're just beginning with ChatGPT. I hope that you learned something new from this video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe. If you really want to learn ChatGPT in depth and you want to go from A to Z, start to finish, get all the information about ChatGPT that you need, then you can purchase my ChatGPT course, which I will leave down in the top pinned comment or the description below. All right, that is all I have for today. I will see you in the next video.